round the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's just like trouble. He's left on second and check.
Hello everybody and welcome back to a new season of the Tanso Racing Group's GR86 series, the UK Cup, set to get underway here from Brands Hatch here this evening. Another 2 races to come to start out our 7 round, 14 race calendar. To bring you the opening round, it's myself, Ian Leary and Dean Biggles with you for this round of the championship. Good to be alongside you, Biggles, for the opening round of the season. And we're here at Brands Hatch. Through the next 7 weeks, we'll be going racing at 7 UK circuits, pretty much up until Christmas. There they are on the right-hand side. It's a nicely formed calendar, and I'm looking forward to getting this series underway here from Brands Hatch.
Yes, good evening, everybody. It certainly will be exciting. Brands Hatch used to be the Formula 1 track, of course, a lot of drivers, and I've known actually a couple of people that have driven around this track. And they told me how absolutely fun it is. And it's an elevation change all the time. There's blind spots when you go over the crest. It's just one of these classic tracks. I wish it'd be modified, of course, for the actual Class A grade or whatever it is for tracks, so that you could actually throw some fast cars like Formula 1 and stuff like that around it. But today, we just have to worry about the Toyota 86s.
I'm thankful that they've kept the character of this circuit instead, which is fantastic. Welcome to everybody watching along at home, of course. Curtis Matthews saying that he's not here today, unfortunately. He'll be back for Donington next week, though, so we look forward to that. And good evening to everybody else who is tuned in over the course of this evening. On board with Scott McFall, who is currently on top of the standings, a 37.2 has got him into the pole position just for the moment. His 6.2 KI rating is Scott, and of course was the winner overall of the GVG GR86 series that travelled across the world in the last 7 weeks or so with the Tanso Racing Group. And he's just getting caught up in a bit of traffic here, actually, which is not quite ideal. However, he is on pole as things stand, and I get the feeling that pole position might be quite an important one going into this first race, given how this circuit is.
You called it, and he is about to finish up another flying lap now as he passes by the flags, man. He's got 57 thousandths of a second gap at the moment. Doesn't look like there was improvement, but take us on a hot lap right now, please, Ewan.
Let's hope he completes it. Down through turn 1, and then at this sort of lesser uphill braking zone through turn 2, just about keeping it tight here to the right-hand side. Then open out this corner as much as you possibly can. Down to turn 3, but don't get too far into the grass on the right-hand side there, otherwise you will be in trouble going off onto the grass and straight on. That's nicely negotiated though, and now time for turn 4, where they turn off the Indy circuit. Aim for a late apex here because it's a long run downhill. Well, uphill first, then back downhill through Pilgrim's Drop in towards the fastest corner on the circuit, Hawthorne Bend. A very, very committed corner indeed, even in this GR86, which does lack speed on occasion. Just bait down into fourth gear, for just under 100 miles an hour around there, right on the edge of grip. Then in towards the Westfield Bend, and then Dingledale, which I think is the most difficult corner on this circuit. You can't really see where you're going until you are at the apex of the corner. You've just got to aim and use your practice to get through there. in the penultimate corner through Sterling's, and that's nicely negotiated as well. And then the final corner as well, where you really can't run out very wide at all, otherwise the gravel will sort of yank you in and pull you off the circuit very, very quickly indeed. And Scott McFall manages to avoid that. Only 2 personal best sectors in the opening 5, so be surprised if he makes an all improvement. It looks like he won't. He will stay in that first position, and he won't improve and get out any further, but still a good place for him to be with just over 2 minutes in the session.
Yeah, but that gap there, Andy White's still sitting in pit road, so I think Andy, if doesn't get out, my friend, he's not going to get out enough to improve on that time, as some of the drivers aren't really improving. You can see no purple sectors that are split into the 6 different sectors that they've put here in Brands Hatch. Just going to work on that timing tower there, so I do apologise out there. Sean, I think it is, that is not showing up properly. Yeah, we was just talking about that one before. Something has broken. Bingo's chewing the internet cable or something like that. You don't know. Just chewing on the timing tower. I'll try to get that fixed while we're in the dying stages of qualifying.
Yep, we certainly will. Apologies for that, but we'll keep you updated on who is where as best we can over the course of the evening. 29 drivers are in the server at the moment. It looks like 28 have set times in this session, and that is important because new for this season, as I was just talking to John about before the race today, we have got a random raffle prize for track art, thanks to Mark Brown. So effectively at the end of the 2 races, we will put all the drivers who completed both races tonight into a hat. We'll do a random number. John said just pick a number in your head. I'm going to do a random generated number with the I feel it's too much responsibility. I'm going to do a random generated number between 1 and however many we get in the session. Looks like it's going to be 28, depending on who gets to the end of the second race, and whichever number corresponds to the driver who it is will win the raffle for track art of Brands Hatch, because it's the Brands Hatch round, from Mark Brown. So we'll do that after race 2 tonight, a little bit later on. It does look like Scott McFall has actually got a little bit further out in front. His first 1:36 of the day, and that sets him now 4 tenths ahead of Andy White, who is currently in second, then Peter Duke in third. But as we know from last season, Scott McFall is going to be the one to beat once again.
Cool it, my friend. Sorry, I'm still trying to fix this stuff in the background. You're going to have to just solo this one, mate. I'm a little distracted. I do apologise. I want to get this fixed. There's only 2 seconds left.
Yes, we'll try and get it fixed in the meantime. But as of right now, we are about to get into our first race. As we line up, 20 minutes as always in our opening race of the day, and the grid looks like this, with Scott McFall on the front. Andy White is in second, ahead of Peter Duke and Mark Brown, who are on row 2. There they are. Then it's Mark Proctor and Scott Brown. Didn't do the last couple of rounds of the TVG series, but he's back again here, qualifies 6th ahead of Jack Holland and Neil Kennedy. Jeremy Ullermans and Peter Woodmore, the final drivers within a second and in the top 10. It's Harry Price and Baz Cutting who round out row 6. Row 7 and 13th place will be Dan Forster ahead of Craig Courish. Michael Vester is the best placed American in the field. He is in 15th ahead of Michael Dolan. It's Alan McCain and Sean Atkinson on row 9 ahead of Aidan Hatfield and Dave Collier. Tim Walters and Mike Walters, the Sunova Racing team pairing, who we'll talk about a little bit later on, share row 11 ahead of Charlie Atkinson and Scott Bell. It's Lee Rylands and Clyde Cup next, followed by Michael Champlin, John Johnson and Ben Groves, rounding out the 29 in the field. So hopefully Ben Groves does get onto the grid. I believe he has, and hopefully he will start this race, because he didn't do a lap in qualifying for whatever reason. Still waiting for Baz Cutting and Alan McCain to get onto grid. They've just got just over half a minute before they will be out of time. But it's going to be a very interesting run in towards turn 1 and 2, with a very big field indeed starting the UK Cup.
This is what you're always going to love. This is when they get up cold tyres. They're going to be eager to try to get the job done for the heat race. And won't throw it in, but remember, you can certainly lose the race in the first turn and the first lap. So make sure you don't want to be facing the wrong direction. Over to you, Ewan. Let's go green.
Green flag.
Let's go green. The opening round of the Tanso Racing Group GR86 UK Cup here from Brands Hatch. It's Scott McFall who gets away well from the front after qualifying on pole. He will take the lead in towards turn number 1 as well. Andy White alongside, or just in behind I should say, with Mark Brown and Peter Duke in third and fourth. They go side by side in the field at the moment, and Brown gets ahead of Duke, so that's a position gained for Mark Brown early on here. Do they all get through the opening couple of corners cleanly? It looks like, as we look in the background here, the answer to that is yes, out of turn number 2, and that is a positive thing. The only change inside the top 5 is Mark Brown getting up to third place ahead of Peter Duke.
Absolutely fantastic as they're all going through. Quite kind, only no incidents reports that I'm having here, Ewan. So far so good. As I said, like, the drivers are behaving themselves early, and as I spoke, we've got a couple of drivers that have gone off track. That might have been David here, and let's have a look at Michael Doolan, perhaps there, and Dave Cooler.
Yep.
I've had a
Yep,
moment.
Michael Dolan and Dave Collier have both been off there. Those are the two that you can see going slowly there, I'm afraid. Long delayed as a result of that incident. But for the rest of them, they've gotten away well, especially actually the top 5. They've got nearly a second over Jack Holland, who was really keen to challenging Scott McFall at times last season in the TVG series, but not quite close enough to do anything on this occasion. There are the movers and shakers. You can tell that in the top 10 or so, there's been a lot less movement than there has been a little bit further down, where it's been a little bit more chaotic on the start of this race as we complete the opening lap now. And into the pit lane goes Scott Brown.
Very early pit stop, isn't it, from Scott Brown? He was setting the fastest third sector as well, so clearly getting that pit stop over and done with, it seems awfully too early. Just to elaborate to everybody, if there's a mandatory pit stop, and who is off into the kitty litter in the background there?
Holland. That was Holland. Yeah, I believe, by the way, for Scott Brown, it was a drive-through penalty.
Oh, wow.
He might have got that for jumping the start, if indeed he reacted to the lights a little bit too quickly and got himself up the order as a result. He's had that drive-through penalty, though, and it's effectively dropped him at the back of the train here. He's in 26th place down in the pack. Let's have a look at whether he did jump start here. Can we see it?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you called it. Thank you.
Oh,
for
dear.
That. Good call.
So much so that I'm surprised we didn't spot it at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Never mind.
Somebody, go ahead.
Need to put my glasses on. Anyway, he's down in 26th place now, and that's going to be a long road to recovery for him. On board we go with Mark Brown. Don't get those two confused, unrelated. But Mark Brown has certainly had a better start here. He's ahead of Peter Duke, and now look at him putting this pressure on Andy White for second as well.
Yeah, he wants to catch Scott up the road there, who set the fastest lap time, and during qualifying, of course, put it on pole, and looks like Scotty may be the one that's got the bigger target to catch. So I think Mark Brown's well aware of that, and he's saying Andy White is up the road there for HB Racing. Come on, mate, we got to catch him, otherwise it may be too late.
Seen Clyde Comfort drop through a couple of positions here at the moment. Not entirely sure what's the problem for him, but he's just dropped down to 25th, pretty much back to where he started after making up some places early on. But I'm glad to say that the only real two-car incident so far was between Dolan and Collier on the opening lap of the race. Not sure what happened between them at turn number 4. However, it's clearly got them way back, as off the road in the background goes Holland again. He's clearly pushing hard, but needs to be careful. You will get a drive-through penalty if you get too many off-tracks, of course, in one of these races.
Yeah, or if you jump the start. But of course, yes, the off-tracks, for sure, exploring those track limits. It's going to go by pretty quickly, you would imagine, here at Brands Hatch, and so far so good for most of those drivers, taking it easy. It's the first race of the season too, so remember the slate is clean. So, hey, you've got everything to prove. At the same time, Ewan, I always think it's one of those more relaxed races, isn't it? Because, well, you know, you're not fighting for a championship and could lose the championship potentially if you make a mistake. So this is when you start seeing drivers perhaps do things that they wouldn't regularly do with the championship up for grabs.
Absolutely. It is good early on that maybe we can see a little bit more freer racing. We've got Donington to come next week, of course. We'll be racing every week on a Sunday right up until December the 15th, just basically before the last one before Christmas weekend. There are the circuits on the right-hand side. I'm pretty sure that's all of the UK circuits that iRacing offers, and we'll be racing them all over the course of this series in the UK Cup. So that's your entertainment to take you towards Christmas here in this series. Up into turn 2 they go, and Scott McFall is pulling out a bit of a margin, nearly a second for the first time this season. I have a feeling it might not be the last time this season we see this kind of drive from him.
A little bit further, you can see with the other HB Racing driver, Baz Cutting, battling it out there for a second. I think it was actually. He might have just got the overtake done. I'll go back and have a look at that one in a second. But here is another little hornet's nest that's brewing around P10. There you
go. Yeah, this is sort of a group created by Neil Kennedy, who's the cork in this bowl, in 7th place. Because Scott Brown had that drive-through, most of these in this group have gained just 1 place. There you can see on the right-hand side, Jeremy Orlemans is one of them, Peter Woodmore, Harry Price, although Orlemans goes off. Oh dear, and he gets back on again without losing a place, but that was quite a close moment there, out of Hawthorne Bend.
Let's have a look at the replay of that one.
I think he just did it on his own. Slightly on the grass on the way in. Just going too quickly. Well, just to understeer off the road there, really. And rejoins quite smoothly, actually. Took straight in behind Kennedy, just up in front of him. And they continue on. But, yeah, that was a heart-in-mouth moment for Jeremy Orlemans, that's for sure.
Do apologise, Sean, out there. I've done a few things around here to try to fix that timing tower there to change. The background colour should actually be one. It should be white at the moment, but it's not. So we're still trying to get it fixed. Tim Walters and Michael Vesta going for it tooth and nail, and just keep an eye out on the wilds there. Scott Brown gets past Mike Walters just in the background as well.
There goes, Vesta looked up the inside there. We got past a note by Tim Walters before this race, by the way, letting us know that the pink Sonova Bro Racing livery that both Mike Walters and Tim Walters are sporting today, you can see the pink there, is an homage to Jacques Villeneuve's helmet design, which from all those years ago. Very easily spotted in the grid. I've got to say, I do quite like the livery as well. It's got some highlights. I don't know what you'd call that bit at the bottom of the door, but it's got some highlights down there as well. Easily spotted is Walters and the other Walters as well, of course, the two Mike and Tim. They are 17th and 22nd at the moment. You're watching the better placed of the two of them. Tim Walters there in 17th. You see those sort of highlights, very reminiscent of Jacques Villeneuve's helmet as it's meant to be. It's very much does look like it, actually. It's a good tribute to that helmet design. I say all those years ago, he still does some racing now, doesn't he, Jacques Villeneuve? So I don't know why I'm saying all those years ago. But
I can't find it, as we're seeing a nice battle. I can't find, there was I saw a picture years ago of, I think he had with Jacques Villeneuve, I think it was Jacques Villeneuve had one of his Formula 1 cars he's driven sunk in the bottom of a pool. But I can't find any pictures of it. I have seen it, but for the life of me I can't. So if anybody ever have seen that, let us know. But that's pretty cool. You know, you got your nice big pool in your house and you've got a big Formula 1 car parked at the bottom of it, or sitting at the bottom of the pool. Imagine it wouldn't have the engine and everything in it, just a shell, but still looks pretty cool. Look at this, Ewan. Wow.
Oh, the inside. Goodness me. That was Atkinson getting it wrong, I'm afraid. Sean Atkinson. Tim Walters through. Michael Vesta trying to go through. He's on the outside. He's not going to manage it. And closing in behind will be... Oh, Lee Rylands. That was an angry bit of contact. And Michael Vesta goes up into the air and is going to be damaged. His front left suspension is toast.
Wow. Wow. Just like he clipped something that's on the side of the track or something like that. Wow. I've never seen anything like that before.
No, that was weird. That was weird. Lee Ryland's still having a look, but we'll get back to that in a moment, because this is a dramatic moment. Down in towards turn 3.
Oh, that's...
Oh, it's an awkward bit of contact. Yeah. It's an angry bit of iRacing netcode, I think, there.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Very, very unfortunate.
That doesn't look natural at all. I've never seen a car do that in real life, mate. But we never thought a car would go through a bloody barrier, would it, of Roman Grosjean and end up like that. So, I don't know. Sometimes things can do strange. Physics has a way of doing strange things sometimes.
Yeah, he's trying to get back to pit lane at the moment, but I'm afraid he's going to be finishing way down in the field today. Damage, of course, is now on for this series, by the way, and so that is a change from last season. Part of the idea of the raffle for those who get to the end of both races in an evening is to get people to continue on even after getting damage, and Michael Vester certainly is doing that at the moment. Holland and Proctor, meanwhile, side by side. Jack Holland up, but he gets it wrong immediately. In his attempt to make the overtake there and get into the top 5 on Mark Proctor, he's spun around at turn 3, and now he's outside the top 10.
I didn't think he could make it. I just caught a suspicion when I saw him coming into that corner. I thought, there's no way you're going to make that corner stick, and here's the exact reason why.
And the inside, and yeah, just about that inside curb, going too quickly. Spins around. Holland's a really quick driver, one of the quickest in this series, but in the last couple of weeks especially, we've seen him make mistakes, and that's what's forced him to have some problems. As Scott Brown is having some problems here in the wall at turn number 4. He was on his own at the time. This might not be good viewing, I'm afraid, for Scott Brown, who enters too quickly as well and spins around in front of the pack, and everyone else having to avoid him.
Very good awareness, actually, from the other drivers, especially because they're probably at the point where they're just about to hit the gasoline power, so they just lift it off a little bit and live to see another day. But as we expected, Scotty's up the road right now by a margin of about 2 seconds, actually, as you can see in your timing tower. Of course, you can see his position because we're highlighting the driver at the moment. But right behind Annie White, still holding off Mark Brown, it's also caught Peter Duke into play here for the battle for P2. As he goes very wide that moment there, Andy White, and that will compromise the exit speed. And let's see if he can attack Mark Brown back now. No, he won't be able to. He's got to defend off more Peter Duke than anything.
Yeah, exactly. Brown has made some good gains in this race, that's for sure. And Andy White and Peter Duke are the ones who have lost positions to Brown. He's the only person inside the top 5 to have gained places so far in this race. Meanwhile, Duke gets into the slipstream of White, who in turn will be getting the slipstream from Brown, and so Peter Duke won't be able to go for that move in towards Hawthorne Bend.
Not recommended anyway if you were to give it a shot. It'd be late sends. Scott McFall that's the fastest second sector as he's just up the road cruising. It'll be a 3-second gap very soon, you would imagine, probably around lap 9 or lap 10.
Currently completing the 8th lap of this race, and that wasn't a great line from Brown. He'll be closed in on by Andy White here in towards the final corner, but no, they will stay single file. Michael Vester, by the way, has been in pit lane and has got that damage repaired. He's back out on the circuit. We've still got all 29 drivers in the field, and what a great field it is to have here in the first round of the Tanso Racing Group GR86 UK Cup. It's a huge entry for us here tonight. In the season, we've got 40 entered, I think, just around 40. So we've got nearly 30 here today, and all of them still running with only 6.5 minutes left in the opening race. There's still probably 5 laps to go, but it's been a very good opening. Yeah, it is indeed 5 laps to go. Very good entry for this opening race, and good way to kick off the season here at Brands Hatch in the opening round.
You called it, and you're absolutely correct. There's certainly some entertaining racing all around. As we at One Canberra, we'll try to capture any of those great battles and unfortunate incidents as well too from the drivers. But they're heated up and they're pumped up because, of course, it's the first round.
Yes, it certainly is, and it's great to be back again for another GR86 series. Mark Proctor is closing in a little bit on Peter Duke here as well, with Neil Kennedy and Jeremy Alderman's just in behind. It's all the battle for in the top 7 positions, I should say. All of this train. They are though nearly 4 seconds behind Scott McFall, who is leading this race and starting this season, I think, as he means to go on.
Let's elaborate where the biggest gainers and movers and gainers have been at the moment, as you can see in there. You have to give it to Alan McCain, hasn't he? 8 positions gained, but he is under a bit of attack here from Craig.
He is a little bit, and that is It'll be a problem for him in these next couple of moments. I mean, look at how close he is. Goodness me. On the way in towards turn 1 here. This is very close indeed. Defending the inside line, Alan McCain. It will be round the outside from Corish, who will still be on the outside when they get to the big braking zone at the top of the hill here. Round the outside he's going to go. And Harry Price will just watch, wait and hope there's going to be an opportunity for him. Corish takes a narrow entry here in 10th place, and here goes Price. He's going to have the better exit. Can he get alongside? Corish half defends it, doesn't really. Price has a second think about going for it, doesn't quite do it. And so the positions stay the same through the opening sector of the lap, but look at this run from Price.
Yeah, you're mentioning in your on-lap guide, isn't it? It's crucial to get your apex and get the exit speed out of this corner, to get this long, straight run down and back up the hill. As you'd mentioned, he's just going to tuck in. I don't think he's going to be just close enough to risk it for the biscuit. And I love this section of the track, isn't it? It's just fly, fly, fly. You're sweeping right-hand corners. Just a little bit of lift off, maybe drop down a gear, back on the gas pedal, use as much of the track as you possibly can without getting in naughty off tracks, and then climb your way back up the hill, and then do it all back down again. It's a roller coaster.
It is a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it, really, around Brands Hatch as we cross 3 laps to go here. By the way, Curtis Matthews cheering on Clyde Comfer in the group a little bit further back. He is down in 25th as things stand, just behind Dave Collier, who's made a great recovery actually. Dropped down to the back, of course, after an opening lap incident, but is back now into 24th place. So good to see him moving up the order. Into the battle for 9th place we go again. This seems like the most likely to change in these next couple of moments, as Craig Corish has to go on the outside of Alan McCain, who defends again in towards turn 2 and holds on again. Meanwhile, Duke and White going side by side. Oh dear, it's all going on here for second. Mark Brown has been overtaken. Duke goes very deep into the corner though, and he holds it in time. Peter Duke gets up ahead of Andy White and Mark Brown in this group, but look at how close they are on the back straight.
Yeah, we've got to replay that one. It's actually bringing a lot of drivers into play here. This is the battle for P2 currently in pitches. Nothing that Scott McFall needs to worry about. It's a 6-second gap. We've gone Dan Foster's schooner around Forster, sorry. There he is. But more importantly, this is where the action is currently at the moment. And something must have happened where Pete Duke passed actually a couple of drivers. It's back here. There, Ewan.
Yeah, let's have a look here.
I think they've come together.
Makes the mistake.
Right.
So Brown makes the mistake. White has to stand on the brakes to avoid him. And Peter Duke just says, thank you very much. I'll turn left and I will go through. Into second place he goes, but he's got 2 more laps to try and hang on, and it's a lively group stacked up right behind him.
Not to mention, I think it was Jeremy, yeah. Here's Jeremy. He just set the fastest Sector 4 catch in the back of this pack, so wow. It could be anybody, as you can see.
Oh,
what have we got? Some lap traffic as well.
Yeah, Michael Vester's trying to stay out of everybody's way, and it's quite difficult to do so when there's 6 of them coming up on the back of it. Here goes White round the outside. He's in the grass. He was trying to go round the outside of Mark Brown, and here goes Mark Proctor through on the outside line and into 4th place. White has now lost 3 places from qualifying on the front row. It might be 4 as Neil Kennedy gets down the inside. There's almost side-to-side contact. Neil Kennedy gets through on the inside, slips through on the inside, and very narrowly gets himself ahead of Andy White. He really had to slide across there as White couldn't prevent him from getting into line. Andy White now outside of the top 5.
Just like that, isn't it? Just like that. You could drop a couple of places, unfortunately, for Andy White. And it all went pearl-shaped. You saw on that replay earlier, just getting a little bit loosey-goosey out of the corner, and then bingo like that. And then you're under pressure. Because it looks at the skill of these drivers are so close together. They're so bunched up. There's not too much to be separated between them, of course. We'd just take out Scott McFall out of the equation on that one, because he's just an alien up the road at this point.
Certainly is, yeah. As he's extending his lead to 6.8 seconds as we speak. The white flag will now be taken. 1 more lap to go here at Brands Hatch, and it looks like as a result in the second race we'll have an extra 3 laps compared to this race, as we add on the extra time, of course, for race number 2. But the opening 20 minutes of the season have been very interesting indeed. Meanwhile, Alan McCain and Craig Courish go side by side. That is a change for 9th place. Alan McCain, well, it was a change briefly. Courish hangs on again, or Courish again not able to get through. Not for the moment anyway. Alan McCain on the inside towards turn 2. Side to side contact. Courish goes round the outside and he's still not quite able to get through. So that stays the same for 9th. Kennedy and White were side by side briefly too for 5th place. It's hard to know where to look at the moment. That's Courish going wide. Here goes Harry Price being pushed by Jack Holland. And very nearly. Here he goes on the outside line. It could be 3 wide. Holland, oh, he's got to be careful here. Holland on the very outside, looking for a way through. He's, well, not going to manage it, I'm afraid. In this one, as he now moves to the outside, Holland can't get through on Courish. Harry Price stays on. Meanwhile, Scott McFall is coming into the final corner right now to come and win the opening race of the season. He won 14 out of 14 in the TVG GR86 series, finishing last week at Summit Point. He's starting off the UK Cup in the best possible way now as well. Scott McFall wins the opening round of the season here at Brands Hatch, ahead of Peter Duke, Mark Brown, who just hangs on from Mark Proctor in that big group for second.
Absolutely amazing, isn't it? Drive from Scotty and the rest of the field duking it out to Manan. Peter Duke, of course, that's why they call him the Duke, the legend. He is the Duke almost of this racetrack, but getting the positions done with these drivers. Who else? Biggest losers and gainers. Andy White, unfortunately, had to drop 4 places, but let's see how we can go on his revenge drive when we have our second heat.
Yeah, indeed. We will be bringing you that in a few moments' time, of course, as always, in this series. But still yet to see all the battles come over the line. Clyde Comfer there got very close to Michael Champlin over the line for 24th, but couldn't quite get it done in time. Michael Vester, the only driver to finish off the lead lap, of course, after getting that damage in the third corner. It's a very weird incident indeed. Unfortunately saw him get damaged. But that is it for the opening race. Let's have a look at the results after 20 minutes of racing in the opening round of this championship. The opening race, indeed, of this championship as well. It is Scott McFall who wins. 7.8 seconds the margin this time. Peter Duke hangs on in that big battle for second, getting ahead of Mark Brown, Mark Proctor, Neil Kennedy and Andy White, who managed to drop 4 places, if I can get my maths right, in that race. Jeremy Ullemans was in that group as well. Peter Woodmore was a little bit lonely towards the end there, but was being caught by Alan McCain, who held on for 9th, then of Harry Price and Jack Holland. Craig Courish was overtaken by those two on that final lap. Baz Cuttings finishes in 13th, ahead of Adrian Hadfield and Tim Walters, rounding at the top 15. Sean Atkinson was just behind Walters there, and then a bit of a gap back to Dan Forster, who was on his own. Michael Dolan finished in 18th place. The end in the 57. He was followed by Alan McCain in 17th. Then, excuse me, I've got... I don't know who's finished in 19th at the moment, to be honest with you.
It's Lee.
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
Lee, right. Sorry, my timing screen has flipped the results, so I was slightly confused. 19th was Lee Rylands, ahead of Scott Bell, rounding out the top 20. Mike Walters was 21st. That's 6 places behind Tim Walters, of course, for the teammates. Terry Atkinson finishes 22nd, ahead of Dave Collier, who got involved in that opening incident. Michael Champlin and Clyde Comfer, 24th and 25th for OGRL. It's Scott Brown, the final driver within a minute. John Johnson and Ben Groves, the final drivers on the lead lap. Michael Vester, of course, one down after that incident we saw through turn 3. So all 29 of them getting to the finish, and a good way to start the season for sure.
I was a very, very, very entertaining race. Very entertaining, and lots of people are engaging in the chat as well too, which I like. We've got a message there from Curtis, saying he's heading back home tomorrow and he'll be back in his normal sim rig. And the portable sim rig. A portable sim rig, I don't know, that I've been using for the past couple of weeks, and we'll be setting up for his daughter to train on as well. Oh, we're going to get the whole family involved.
Very nice.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So, That's good to hear. I know we've been mentioning it periodically here in the Tanso Racing Group races that he's been away for the last few weeks, but pretty impressively took a portable sim rig with him and has been racing rather well on it, considering. So good to see they'll be back in more familiar surroundings for the next round of the championship, and maybe there'll be another Matthews to get onto the grid in the future as well. Just in the break between the races, want to thank the partners that make these broadcasts possible here on the JPB YouTube channel for the first ever GR86 UK Cup here at the Tanso Racing Group. All links in the description, of course, for Techsport Racing. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. For TS Livery Designs, you can find their Facebook in the YouTube description. Discount Tyre, who are brought on board for the UK Cup, their Facebook is in the description, alongside Blue Angel Kennels and OMP Racing as well. Both of whom also have their Facebook in our description, alongside Conspit Racing, who are joining us for this season as well. A company that designs and develops sim racing products, so make sure you check them out in the description, or at if you just type it in Conspit Racing, or not Conspit Racing, sorry, conspit.com. You can find them and their work. So big thanks to those who make these broadcasts possible here on the JPB YouTube channel. You're watching the GR86 UK Cup here from the Tanso Racing Group, and we'll be live with the second race very shortly. And stay with us after the second race as well for the random draw for the winner of this week's raffle, which would be taking place after the second race here tonight. The prize, of course, a track art design of Brands Hatch from Mark Brown, who is providing them for this season. For each track of this series, for all 7 rounds, we'll be giving away track art in a raffle prize, or for all of those who have completed both of the races and through all of those 7 tracks there on the right-hand side through all of the rounds. So if you get to the end of both, then you'll be entered in. At the moment, all 29 drivers are still eligible, because even the crash for Michael Vester couldn't keep him off the circuit, and he rejoined. So he's still eligible, and will be entered in with everybody else. Everyone's been given a number. I will give the number on the stream. Hopefully, John will get back to me quickly enough for me to tell you who belongs to that number at the end of the day. So we will see who wins on that occasion as the checker flag waves at the end of warm-up. We're about to go racing for the second race of the day here in a few moments' time.
Look at that guy. Oh, they changed some of the audience. One guy's had his hands folded, sitting there going, hurry up. I want to race. I want to see some racing. I think we got the timing. James, this is how good James is on JP Broadcasting Network. He's broadcasting another race and commentating it, and at the same time he's helping me with this overload problem, so we should be good with those numbers in the timing tower now. See? He's a man of many talents, isn't he?
He is. We're about to get underway here, by the way. There's a reason we don't need to show you the grid. It's because it's basically the race results that we just saw flipped on their head. So Michael Vester is going to be leading the field away, and there's a reason also why we weren't watching for a battle for pole position like we were last season. There isn't really one. It's just a full reverse grid, and what an exciting second race this is going to be. It's going to be a lot harder for Scott McFall to win all 14 races this season, that is for sure. Let's get this race underway then. The full reverse grid here from the GR86 UK Cup. Bit of smoke in the background. Hope nobody jump started there. Somebody's not got going there. Somebody not going. I believe it's Dolan in the background, as it's a great start from Scott Brown. He had a big spin, of course, and a drive-through penalty at the opening race of the day. That put him towards the back, but he is a very quick driver indeed. He'll be one to watch for this race win, as will Michael Vester, who had that crash, of course, as we saw through turn 3. There's a crash in the background. Woodmore and Mark Brown, Peter Woodmore and Mark Brown are off the road, down in the back of the pack, I'm afraid, as the midfield get themselves underway. It's a chaotic race to start as the full reverse grid gets underway.
Oh, there goes Mike Waters around, I think, as well too, for the Peak Machine, yes. But it's goal! They're taking each other out. That's the race leader, Scott Brown.
Yep. Vesta and Scott Brown, I believed anyway, the top two favourites to win here have taken each other off and they've blown this race wide open. Dave Collier's now leading the race. He had a crash at that very same corner on the very same lap of race number 1. Now he's taken advantage of the very same incident with himself not involved in it, and now he's leading the way ahead of John Johnston and Ben Groves, who's in third place. Just in the meantime, by the way, in the middle of the two races, Ben Groves told us didn't qualify because he wasn't there for the start of qualifying and didn't want to get out onto the circuit and impede everybody else. So he it's quite very noble of you, Ben, but you don't have to do that. You can qualify if you want. But he qualified at the very back and raced now his way into third place as it's 3 wide almost in the background here. This is a group from 9th place from Tim Walters pretty much right the way down. Jack Holler looking to fight his way through. Andy White as well, who's made a very good start. Who's the biggest mover on the opening of this race? It is Andy White. He's now at 12 places as he passes Michael Chaplin in towards turn 1.
You can see as well too, there's your gainers and losers. And Foster as well. Foster has gained 9 places. White's mate gained to 12, as you'd mentioned. As you can still see a little bit of a babble there between Clyde and Lee. Reynolds has gone around. It's all happening around here. I don't want to take my eyes off this area right here, because you can look at your cars, perhaps thinking 4 wide, Brands Hatch, gentlemen? Not recommended.
No, they're not quite going to do that, but it was very close there. Jerry Orlemans is weaving around all over the place here to try and block off Scott McFall, who's making his way through. He is now the biggest mover as he passes Craig Corrish on the inside line of turn number 4, so he now has the most places gained. Here goes Orlemans on the inside line of Baz Cutting, who's about where he finished, of course, the first race. Those in the midfield don't really gain or lose anything from the reverse grid. They just sort of stay where they are as Atkinson and Comfer go side by side through Hawthorne Bend. Walters just keeps his nose ahead. Terry Atkinson follows through. Comfer's on the outside line. He's getting freight trained by everybody here as, slowing down there is Scott Bell trying to get out of everybody's way. There's so many position changes going on here and we're not even at the end of lap 2 at the moment. This midfield battle is absolutely crazy with the leaders from the opening race trying to work their way through.
They are trying their best, but look! No. Harry Price!
Harry Price! Oh no, Harry Price off the road and into the wall as well. Nobody else seemingly off with him, although there will have been contact to instigate it. This is where it's all stemming from the battle for 6th place between Tim Walters and John Johnston at the moment. Although here goes Terry Atkinson, is that on the inside line? It is indeed, with Jack Holland just in behind. Here he goes through the middle, Jack Holland. In the black, you can see, right through the middle and towards turn 3. Turn 2, excuse me. He can't quite get through on Atkinson, but he does make a place. He goes wide, slides, holds it. He's still side by side with John Johnson in towards turn number 3.
This is fantastic. It's just like you've woken a sleeping giant of drivers, haven't you? In the second race at the moment, they're just so much more comfortable after that first one, and everybody's just going, let's go racing. You've just door banging, tooth and nail, and that's Scott. Scott's off.
Wow. Championship leader after winning the opening race and the champion of the TVG series finished just 1 week ago. Scott McFall down to 23rd after getting involved in an incident. Here goes Andy White round the outside of Atkinson along with Jack Holland. Those two are coming and they will be very, very quick indeed. Dave Collier's still leading, by the way, but as you were talking about earlier on, Dan Forster's made a good start here, up 11 so far in this race, and he's closing in on the race lead as further up front Ben Groves has got off the road. Will he be dropping down? Oh, he will indeed. Where is he? He escapes, thankfully, because otherwise he would have been smashed into by everybody. As it's side by side, Lee Rylance gets past Michael Vesta. It's half a second now for the lead as Dave Collier goes off into the grass and the gravel. Here goes Dan Forster. He's on the inside line. He will take the lead at the end of lap 3.
Just like that, you blink and you're going to miss this action here. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. You're seeing some of the best drivers here in difficult situations, and unfortunately there was a tow just before, as you've seen, because just in a difficult place would have wrecked so many other drivers. It's very frustrating for the driver to have to do that, but it goes to show you how much honour there is amongst these gladiators.
Certainly does, as they are still side by side. This group for 10th place is absolutely crazy. This is Alan McCain in the middle of it. It's numbering about 12 at the moment, this group, I've got to tell you. Alan McCain on board as we get a run here on Baz Cutting. As I mentioned, his position didn't really change because he finished in the midfield in that opening race. Now, though, it will change. It'll be -1 as Alan McCain gets down his inside, slides his way down the inside and gets up into 13th place. Collier's not going away here. Dan Forster will have a race on his hands, but will it just be about these two, or will some others catch up? Andy White is now in 5th place.
I get a feeling he must have come off the track somewhere. I don't see anything in race control messages, but Dan had a nice bit of a gap there, and all of a sudden Aston neglected it. And Dan did set, the race leader did set the fastest lap on the last lap. So what happened? Anyway, he's got to defend. So does Michael Vester and Lee has a battle for P3 currently at the moment.
I thought Vester was letting Rylands through earlier on, but clearly not. He wants that position back, and he's got it back just for the moment. Has Michael Vester, Lee Rylands in 4th place, and there's Andy White just in behind. He is the biggest mover forward today. 19 positions gained in this race so far. I think you'll be disappointed to have finished 6th in that opening race, to be honest with you.
Oh
my God! Shit! Huge crash. Johnston's off the road. Atkinson, Kennedy, Peter Duke involved as well. Peter Duke really damaged as well here. Peter Duke is very, very damaged indeed at the end of that one, and they all resume, but surely there'll have to be some pit stops to repair damage for some of these.
Let's have a look where it started. This is definitely around this hornet's nest, and yeah, to be expected. Something was brewing up here, Ewan, and this is the results.
Goodness me.
Oh, 4 cars perhaps involved in that one. Definitely not
4,
the place you want to be.
Certainly not. Duke is off again here in live pictures. Who was the original spinner? Can't quite work this out for the moment, but not sure if there was contact, but it was certainly a big spin for someone. Might have been Scott Bell.
I think it might have been Scott Bell,
anyway.
Yeah. Drivers won't give us a chance to go back and look at those replays too often, so we'll have to do that at the end of the race session for the feature race at the moment. So here we go. I can tell you what, that you know when a race is thrilling and exciting when you don't have barely any time to go to replays.
Exactly. There is barely any time to think at the moment in this race. It's very exciting indeed. Here goes Michael Vester again, holding on to 3rd place. Andy White is on the outside line of Lee Rylands here. Well, I would have thought he'd go for the cutback there and get the run to the front straight. That's what Holland's done instead. Is he going to make this 3 wide? He certainly is. He goes to the right-hand side of not only White, but maybe Rylands as well here. White feels boxed in, and that's because he is on the way in towards turn number 1. Rylands will hang on to 4th place as the 2 fastest drivers probably on paper in the top 6 now go side by side for the last spot inside the top 5. Holland down the inside, and he does get through on Andy White.
Wow. I didn't know where to start and where to finish. This is too much.
It is manic stuff at the moment.
Scott McFall's just put the fastest lap in after going off track there, and he's starting to catch these drivers now. 15 positions gained. So you do not count Scotty out of a race, considering he won the last race by over 7 seconds.
Curtis Matthews making a good point in YouTube chat. Can't imagine what it's going to be like on some of the smaller tracks. To be fair, this is quite a small track, I would argue, anyway, but I get what you mean. Circuits like Alton Park, Knockhill, Cabwell. Yeah, it's going to be very exciting indeed. Side by side for 3rd again. Lee Rylands on the outside this time of Michael Vester. Oh no! White and Holland have clashed. They've crashed, I'm afraid, at the Westfield Bend, and they're both off into the wall and damaged. Oh, that's big damage for Holland, and Andy White has to tow back to pit lane. Not sure who was the first to lose it, but whoever did lost it into the other driver. It was Holland who went for a spin. He clipped White, who also clipped the barrier.
Yeah, trying to get a better angle on that one because I got those bloody trees in the way here in the virtual world that they don't need to have. But here we go from this angle. Yeah, it's just lost it on his own, hasn't it? And exactly as you said, clipped White, and that's all she wrote for those drivers, unfortunately, for now. Well, you're not completely out of it. We got no damage, just like Scott McFall, who's back into this one too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Holland is one of the fastest drivers in this field. I don't think there's any doubt about that. However, the frequency with which mistakes seem to happen for him is really holding him back in this series, unfortunately. And he's got the potential to be a really great driver, but at the moment Just a few too many mistakes, I think, to his name, which is it is a real shame to see just for now. Peter Woodmore lets this group go by him. This is the group for 7th place that, as you say, Scott McFall is now joined in on. He is in 11th place.
Look at this up the road. You've got Alan McCain, you've got Terry Atkinson, Scott McFall's now joined this party, and Peter Woodmore. So, Scotty got the overtake done. Perhaps, if he can make it stick, he has made it stick. So he's got the overtake on Terry, and now he's lining up Alan McCain.
Yeah, Terry Atkinson is the one in 11th place. Sean Atkinson is in 14th. If you are watching along on the tower on the left-hand side, so in towards the penultimate corner goes Scott McFall. That is a textbook cutback from him, and Alan McCain is going to be toast here, I think, in towards the final corner, as he just breaks a little bit earlier. Again here, McFall pulls back to the inside line, and he will be racing through on the straight. Still 13 minutes to go. Still questions, of course, on how far Scott McFall can get through this field.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was showing the gap at the moment to leader. 15.7, 6 seconds. He's going to slice and dice his way through there. But, of course, that's just to the leader. Minus to imagine there's no cars on the track, of course. There's one thing is going to be catching the likes of Jeremy very soon. And then, of course, it's going to slow him down a little bit. And he'll try to get those overtakes done and then try once again. But further up the field, Jeremy and Tim Waters. Whoa, Tim is really slowing down.
Here goes McFall.
He's got to slow down for sure.
He is a bit, Tim Waters. So that's 2 positions lost. McFall and McCain both go through. If I were to make a prediction now, by the way, I would go McFall finishing in 3rd place. Right. I think he can get to Lee Rylands and overtake him, but I don't think he can get any further than that, as Peter Woodmore also gets through on Tim Waters' hit, who I don't think is especially desperate to keep these drivers behind at all. Instead, he is just letting them through, rather, in this race. There is Dan Forster. He's just got to manage his margin at this stage. It's now 4 seconds up to Dave Collier.
Yeah, and then you got 6 seconds back to Lee Rylands, and then they start bunching back up again. Not as crazy bunching we had at the start of the race, where we had packs everywhere, but that's what's happened, isn't it, between those packs of those racing that we saw there, Ewan. A couple of them come together, and that's broken up a little bit.
There goes McFall again on the inside of Jeremy Allemans this time, and he's up to 7th place is McFall. So at the end of the day, I think those drivers who were closest to him in the opening race are now behind him, really, maybe with the exception of Mark Proctor, who is just up ahead of him right now in 6th place. But generally, for McFall's season, this has not been too bad of a race at all, and it just shows you what you can achieve by just continuing on in this race, to be honest. Now, all the others who have had incidents, of course, most of the others, even White and Holland after their crash, have continued on. But McFall has recovered from his stumble a bit better than the others in that top of the order. And so McFall is now in 7th place and earning a lot of points here. It's very interesting to see that indeed, as further back pass cutting and John Johnston going side by side into turn 3. And here goes Dolan on the outside line through into 19th place.
Yeah, it looks like Baz had come off the track here, and that had brought them into play. Let's have a look what happened to Mr. Baz Cutting. Oh, once again, these trees, I swear. I have to chop them down. Oh, yeah, that's an off track,
Right.
but no, I didn't lose too much.
Yeah, he didn't lose a lot. So we'll get away with that just for the
Scott.
moment. As there we go, McFall again, getting close to Mark Proctor this time.
Yeah, make sure you can see him. He's got like a zebra. Yeah, or like the Red Bull testing livery that I had on. Oh, side by side a few years back.
Oh! And McFall will try and work his way through here on the outside line. And I think he should do. With just less than 10 minutes remaining. Through he goes on the inside line, surely here. Whoa, on the outside, I should say.
Not at all.
No, he's not. No, he's holding on to the inside. Of course, the first 2 corners at this circuit are to the right. That will benefit him. But it's nice late braking from Scott McFall, who just edges ahead and through. He's going to go in on the inside of turn 3. Finally, it's done. Took McFall a little bit of time, but he is now in 6th place. Well, only for now. Proctor comes back again.
He did get the speed out of the corner, but he should be able to hold on this corner exactly and have that one. But, all that cost him time. And believe it or not, he set the fastest third sector during that as well. So he's still got the speed. Let's see if Mark's going to be able to come back on that one. And just behind, you've got Jeremy Ollemans. But, I've butchered his name too, haven't I? But still, a little bit further up. This is where Scotty's going to be coming soon, if he can clear Michael Vester, who's just behind this pack here of Craig Corish there and Lee Rylance.
And this is the battle for the finals podium spot, and there goes McFall in the background past Vester.
Wow,
he's into the top 5.
Yeah.
Don't forget, he's come from 29th in the pack here, and further behind, Proctor goes through as well, or tries to, on the inside line. Here will come Orlemans. Alan McCain is there as well. Peter Woodmore closing in. It's a big group starting to form. There's all sorts of side-by-side here, as Rylands holds on from Chorus, only for now. Proctor gets through on Vester, and Orlemans and McCain and Woodmore will be hoping to do the same too as well.
They may very well too, because the exit speed out of the corner has really, really compromised Jeremy here. And Vester's going to send one up the inside. Vester, it was compromised. My apologies on that one. So, there you go. This Hornets net's back again, Ewan.
Certainly is, yeah. And towards turn 3 they go. I think Vester could be in a bit of trouble here with McCain and Woodmore, although it's Orlemans going wide there. Not the first time we've seen him do that as we go on board with Woodmore, who's got a great view of everyone here. Down the inside of McCain, he gets through into 8th place, and Woodmore will be looking to get the exit and looking to come straight through as well. As McFall, by the way, further up the field, has gotten through easily on Lee Rylands, and on the inside, he's going to go through on Craig Chorus as well. He returns to the podium again.
You called it. I think he's got enough time for not a race win now. I think he might be right for a P3 at best. We'll see. He might get very, very close to Dave Kohler towards the end of this one, but Dave has to be putting in good, quick laps there consecutively, and he can still hold on to that P2. I'm not sure he's got the pace there for Dan Forster in the lead. But, off completely into the kitty litter is Jeremy.
Jeremy Orlemans rejoins right in front of Vester and Woodmore. Oh, goodness me, Woodmore goes straight through. So does Tim Walters. What a drive this is from Tim Walters to get up into the top 10. Fantastic drive. And now he's hounding Woodmore as well into the final corner. This race is just continuing to give at the moment, and with 6.5 minutes to go, we've still got 5 more laps of this yet before the end of race number 2 in the opening round of the UK Cup. Here goes Orlemans. He looks right, he looks left, he looks right again. He can't go through though on Tim Walters into turn 1. Alan McCain's off in the foreground there, just over in the gravel. He rejoins. He still just about hangs on to 7th place.
All absolutely happening. Race leader. Can't see anybody on track. He's like, is this a race over? Not yet, mate. In about 6 minutes it will be. If you keep it up, you'll be seeing Barney first. There's David P2, and there's Scotty. Now with a bit of open, clear air, as you can see there, he's got almost a second gap there to Craig Corish. So I think keep an eye on those last lap times, stuff like that as well too, Ewan. I'll put that up on the timing board as we see a nice battle. Jeremy now looks like Tim.
He's just made a small mistake there. Vester and Woodmore, by the way, still going side by side for 8th place. Vester will hang on, gives ample room though to Woodmore, who just goes round the outside at Hawthorne Bend, and he'll have to do the same at Westfield, but does. Very strong move round the outside from Woodmore, who works his way through into 8th place now in the field. Further up front, Proctor past Rylands for 5th place. There are so many positional changes going on again and again and again, and so much action as well, because it looks like Dolan and Cutting have made contact and they've both got off the road. Now Brown and Holland are off the road as well. Cutting got back to pit lane. It's all going on.
Yeah, they've come together. I think you're right. Here it is. So Baz has gone defensive on the inside line, just holding it there, and once again there's trees in the way. It's pushed in. That's been a hot zone right there, hasn't it? Absolutely.
It certainly has.
You want to get your fold-up chair and your drinks and sit right there. If this was real-life racing right now with the amount of incidents that have occurred. Sit back from the wall.
You certainly would.
From the safety barrier. Don't sit in front of it.
Of course. Yep. 3 seconds for McFall. It looks like you're right, by the way. You might have a chance to catch Collier here. I didn't think he'd have time, but it looks like he might well do here.
Ewan said I might be right for once. Here we go.
well, you know, it pains me to say, but no. McFall is on his way possibly to second place here. Dan Forster is now leading by nearly 10 seconds, though, well out front. And the midfield is still providing ever more battles than before. Holland is still going with a slightly damaged front bumper. We saw his incident, of course, with Andy White, who is also still going, although he's only recovered to 24th. In fairness to him, he did have suspension damage. Jack Holland did not, and so he's still able to go, although his aero will be compromised, of course, with that slightly out of shape front end.
I love that, and you know you're in Tanso Racing Group when you see those shiny blue chrome rings, don't you? Wheel rings, wheel hubs. You won't see that in the other cars anywhere else.
Need more chrome wheel rims, I think. But there you go.
They should put those spinners on it.
Yeah, it's good look, depending on the colour, of course. Fred Grove saying in YouTube chat, McFall is crazy fast. Well, yes, it certainly appears that way. Dave Collier, I'm afraid, is just losing a bit of time compared to Dan Forster in these last couple of laps at 1.1 seconds that last time round after staying with him early on. But McFall is really gaining now. Fastest lap of anyone last time round, 136.8. Sorry, that was the time before. This was another 36.8 last time round, but it was 5 thousandths of a second slower. That's consistency for you. 2 laps within 5 thousandths of a second of each other.
He's a flying Scotsman, and he's absolutely flying. He knows this is his chance in the dying stages here to get P2. I think he knows at this point at P1. So an Irishman versus a Scotsman. This is going to be very interesting.
It is going to be interesting indeed, but I think there's going to be 2 laps remaining. I think that could be a couple too many for Dave Collier here. He's making his way into the final corner is Dan Forster, and so indeed it will be 2 laps remaining at the line. Here comes McFall, looking to gain his 27th place during this race. What a drive it's been from the driver who won 14 races, all 14 races in the last TVG series. Finished up last week, of course, at Summit Point with another double win for him. Well, it's going to be a double podium for him today, but second is all it will be in race 2 as Proctor and Corish battle for 4th place now. And McFall does get through on the way towards turn 1.
Is he going to make it stick? Yes, he will. Come on, Dave, you've got to put up a bit more of a fight than that. You got a chance to fight back. You don't want to give away a comfortable P2 position. It looked like a comfortable P2 position he had, give or take 5 minutes ago. Not anymore. And this is more the battle.
Side between Proctor and Corish. There they are.
There's nothing between these two.
Hanging on.
Oh, no!
Proctor pushes too hard and ends in the... Excuse me, it's Corish. Excuse me. I was looking at the wrong car. Craig Corish, the one who ends up in the wall, and it's really thrown a grenade into this group because McCain and Rylands now go side by side into turn 4, and well, will he stay ahead here? They go side by side down the back straight in toward Hawthorne Bend.
Yeah, that'll be the last chance that they're going to do any overtake and hover onto this position as our race leaders entering in the last 2 sectors, as you can see on your track map. So it's the last time we're going to keep the camera pointed at you gentlemen as well too. Any opportunity. This is currently the battle for P5.
Side by side and through. Woodmore goes into 6th place as we have a look at Dan Forster. Just about enough time remaining to squeeze in one more lap on what will be a great victory for him.
That'll actually be quite good for some of these other drivers further back, isn't it? Peter Woodmore, Lee as well. I don't know if they're settling themselves this. Not to mention Mark Brown there and Craig. They're battling it out for 12th and 13th. So certainly excited. I wonder if those drivers got the idea, hey, you still have one more lap, so you can still battle. You don't have to back off just yet. Go for gold. And they are, actually. Mark Brown and Craig. Sometimes you think too, Ewan, that there might be actually a couple of slowdowns issued to these drivers as well. You're seeing some of these dramatic overtakes.
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
I think he's suffering with a bit of damage because Terry Atkinson there has made the easiest pass he'll make all day. Mike Walters round the outside of Adrian Hadfield here. This is a good overtake from Walters. A relatively quiet day from Adrian Hadfield. He's been hiding from our cameras a little bit, but he is going to finish around 17th, maybe 16th if he can get back at Walters here on this final lap. He'll certainly be hoping that he can in the closest remaining battle on this circuit. Hatfield's got a good run here on the way towards turn number 4. Will he have a look down the inside? No, not quite. He has to stay behind in towards turn 4.
Yeah, not a lot of great overtaking opportunities now down here, unless you've actually got a poor exit, which I don't think you did. Anyway, one person that's not had any poor performance, of course, in our feature race is this driver. 12 positions gained. Looking forward to the Barney flag and absolutely flashing his lights and excitement because you've done it, my friend. You've won the feature race.
Well done, Dan Forster. Wins race 2 of the GR86 UK Cup here from the Tanso Racing Group at Brands Hatch. Scott McFall, though, a great drive from him to gain 27 places and move up to second. And of Dave Collier, who also does a great job to finish on the podium. And of Mark Proctor and Alan McCain as well. But what are those other battles saying towards the line here? Vesta will hang on from Walters and Holland by the looks of things in the background. Corish and Atkinson are going side by side. They are on the run up towards the line here. And Sean Atkinson's going to steal 14th away from Craig Corish right at the very last. Will Adrian Hatfield do the same to Mike Walters in the background? No, he stays 17th. Brown and Dolan are half a second apart. They, though, won't change positions either as they make their way over the line. Some close finishes there. 89 thousandths between Atkinson and Corish in a bit of a photo finish over the line.
Absolutely brilliant. I hope everybody's enjoying that race. So the races, plural of them, of course. This one was just fire. This is like the Melbourne Cup in Australia. It's like this most anticipated motor racing event of the year. And we've still got many more to come. We'll get those results coming up for you in a second now.
Yeah, Andy White's still quite close behind Clyde Comfort here, actually, for 23rd, as we're still waiting for some to come over the line, such as the field spread. White can't quite do it, though. One of many drivers to come into pit lane during this race. Actually, 9 drivers were forced to make a stop, 3 of whom never really re-emerged after making those stops a long time ago. Those were Harry Price, Ben Groves and Michael Champlin in 27th, 28th and 29th in the field. Let's have a look at the results, though, as Dan Forster takes the victory in round 2, race 2, I should say, of the GR86 UK Cup here at the Tanso Racing Group. Scott McFall gains all those places to finish second. Of Dave Collier, who also finishes on the podium. It's Mark Proctor and Alan McCain who round out the top 5, with Peter Woodmore finishing 6th, holding on from Lee Ryans at the end. Jeremy Ullman finishes 8th place at Michael Vesta, who held off Jack Holland for a top 10. Mark Brown just finished outside of that top 10, and we'll chat to him in a moment. Terry Atkinson and Sean Atkinson finished 12th and 13th, ahead of Craig Corish and Mike Walters running out the top 15. Adrian Hatfield couldn't get past Walters there. Scott Brown and Michael Dolan were 17th and 18th, ahead of Peter Duke. Then Tim Walters, who rounded out the top 20. Scott Bell was also just over a minute off with John Johnson. Clyde Comfort held on from Andy White at the end there, with Neil Kennedy finishing 25th. Baz Cutting was 1 lap down. Michael Champlin, Ben Groves and Harry Price didn't get to the end of the race, as I mentioned. And so, with that, before we get into the interviews, I'm going to now draw a random number out of all of those who finished in this race. One random driver will win the raffle for some track art from Mark Brown of Brands Hatch, of course, for our opening round of the season. So I've put the numbers in, I've shuffled them up, and I will spin the wheel. This number that I'm about to read out won't mean anything to you. It's just so that I can say it to John a little bit later on. And hopefully by the end of the stream, we can tell you who wins the raffle. The number selected is number 6. And so John will now tell me who that is. And that will be the raffle winner for this week at Brands Hatch. While we're waiting for John to give me the number, or give me the driver, I should say, that corresponds to number 6, we'll now chat to Mark Brown, who finished in 11th in that second race, but had a bit of a better time of things in the opening race. Of course, had to come through 15 drivers in that second race. Mark, thanks for coming to chat to us. Good to have you with us. Let's start with that second race, because starting towards the back, as you did, third last, is something that you weren't anticipating, I would have thought. And we've just seen a slow-mo replay of your opening lap incident. Tell us about that, and then the recovery afterwards as well in that second race, first of all.
Yeah, it's interesting starting from the back. I suppose I made a mistake. I come across in front of Peter a wee bit there, so I thought I had a wee bit more room. It was my own fault, and yeah, it just cost me a lot of time trying to catch up to everyone. Like, I think it was about 10 or 12 seconds by the time we were going again. But yeah, I struggled the second race, so I did. I could have got another couple of positions, but yeah, I had a couple of wee offs and onto the grass, something else. I just think it could be tires trying to push too hard. So, but yeah, it's interesting. Hey, it just adds another aspect to it, coming, starting from the back of the grid, like, and trying to come through it. So, well done to Dan for winning the second race, and just Scott for the first, and Peter Duke for coming second on the first race. So, I made a silly mistake on the first race and sort of let them through, but I can't complain here. It's there's still plenty more races, and I'm sure we'll have plenty more battles to go through this season. So.
There certainly are. But one thing that will be staying, of course, is a huge reverse grid for you to get your teeth into for the second race, especially as well. Are you a fan of this new reverse grid format? Before it was just the top 6, now it's the entire field. Are you a fan of making the second races like what we just seen?
Yeah, I don't mind. I suppose that most everyone, it's probably better racecraft. As I said, you have to watch your mirrors, and yeah, I was a victim of it myself on the first lap of it. But yeah, it's interesting. I suppose previous seasons there we had the top 6 reverse, and it was pretty quick to get up to the front of it again. So I do think a bigger reverse grid for the feature race is definitely needed. So yeah, the full reverse. It's we all have working with the same race, so we all have the same problem. So yeah, it should make it interesting. So we'll see how it goes. You win some, you lose some. I just need to be a bit more careful, just I suppose. So
yeah, of course it takes a slightly different approach, but it is the same for everyone, I suppose, as well. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, yourselves. Hey, great to have you on board for the broadcast this season. I'm looking forward to watching it back. To John and all for putting this race on, and for John for talking me back into it again. I was contemplating taking a break, but his constant nagging and messages. Yeah, I gave in to peer pressure, I suppose. And for the wife and the family and all for putting up with all this race on a Sunday night. So, all the best now, and thank you very much.
Good to have you back in the series again. It's only a last push till Christmas for the next 7 weeks. So thanks very much for chatting to us, Mark, and congratulations on especially the first race result, but the second race as well. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep, great job. See you soon. Take care.
Thanks very much, Mark Brown there in 11th in the second race, but perhaps more importantly, third place in the first race tonight. Let's chat now to one of the race winners. Dan Forster can now join us, the race 2 winner. Welcome in, Dan. Good to have you with us. And congratulations on taking a race 2 victory for yourself tonight here in the series, after gaining 12 places as well. It wasn't exactly like you were started on pole in a full reverse grid with all the fastest drivers at the back and you just held on from them. You got through the field very efficiently there early on, especially. How was that race in race 2? Talk us through it.
Well, I think I outbraked myself a couple of times early on, but the people went a bit wide, so I managed to avoid hitting them on those early few corners and managed to make up some places quite quick, and just fast exit speeds I managed to speed through. So I think a bit of luck and just managing to not bottle it. I was just thinking to myself, don't bottle it, just take it easy. You don't need to get fastest laps, you're not chasing anyone down, just bring it home, because it's been a long time since I've won a race. So yeah, I was just trying to make my way through and not avoid contact with anyone.
You certainly managed that, and we're just watching a replay of your opening lap at the moment.
That corner there on the replay there, I just dived to the inside.
12 positions gained by lap 3, I think it was. It's pretty amazing. In fact, I think it was 10 or so positions, if you're still seeing the replay by the end of lap 1.
Yeah, like I say, quite a bit of luck. I think I just took the right line through some of the corners where other people were a bit slow on the cold tyres, and just managed to avoid people who were slow on exits, and it just worked out. I think it was just one of them cases of I was lucky and managed to keep it on the track and avoid any of the carnage, and it just let me through. So yeah, I'm happy.
And congratulations on that as well. Just briefly on race 1 as well, because we didn't see an awful lot of you actually in race 1. Midfield finish for you. How did that go in terms of where you qualified first of all, and then where you ended up as well?
I am not fast around this track, and no matter what I try and watch, track guides and telemetry and all kinds of stuff. I can't seem to find huge amounts of pace. So I was thinking, well, I've just got to try and be consistent, but I couldn't get the quali time, so I didn't start very well on the grid. I think I finished roughly at one point I was roughly where I gridded, and then I made a mistake and span. I basically joined way down the field, so then I had to do what I usually have to do and make the places back up. So it was disappointing, but I was thinking, well, maybe the reverse grid will help me out, and it certainly ended up doing. But yeah, I've just got not huge amounts of pace at this track, and I think that's what undid me in the first race.
Congratulations on getting up towards the front in the second either way. And is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go finally?
Well, as always, thanks to Tanso Racing Group and the sponsors who make it possible, and you guys for doing the broadcast again. That keeps us coming back week after week, keeping it fun and keeping it exciting, watching the broadcast back. So, yeah, thanks.
It's great to be here once again. Dan, congratulations on race 2 victory tonight, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Dan Forster there, race 2 winner tonight in the TVG GR86 UK Cup here this evening. I can announce that the winner of the raffle this week is Peter Duke, so congratulations to him, first of all, for getting to the end of both races, because that is what's required, but second of all, for winning the raffle as well. So he will win track art for the Brands Hatch round, and congratulations to him. Hopefully we'll see him and alongside everybody else next week at Donington Park, where they'll be going for a bit of track art from that circuit as well. Been good to be alongside you, Biggles, for this opening round of the season. This has been a great showcase of the UK Cup and what we're going to expect for the rest of the season. I've got to say, I'm thoroughly enjoying this full reverse grid as opposed to just the top 6 that we were getting beforehand.
Yes, thank you very much, Ewan. Absolutely looking forward to Darlington National Track that you can see there on the 10th of November.
Indeed. We will be back live, same time, same place here from the JPB YouTube channel as always. So make sure you subscribe and tune in when it rolls around in 1 week's time as well here on the Sunday. But for now, from myself, Ian Leary, Dean Biggles alongside me, and everybody behind the scenes here at the Tanso Racing Group and JPB, it's goodbye for now. We'll see you in 1 week's time at Donington Park.